On October 10, 2025, President Donald Trump made a very important announcement. It was a big surprise to many people. He said that the United States would put a new tax on all products coming from China. This new tax is called a tariff. It means that items from China will now cost 100% more when they enter the U.S. This new tariff will start on November 1. With other existing taxes, the total tariff on Chinese goods will be 130%. This is a very high number, not seen for a long time. This decision by President Trump makes the trade war between the United States and China much worse. The trade war is a fight between the two biggest economies in the world about how they do business together. This new tariff is a dangerous step. It shows that the trade disagreement is getting very serious. President Trump's announcement was a direct answer to something China did. Just before this, China made new rules about special materials. These are called rare earth elements or critical materials. These materials are very important for making many modern things. They are used in mobile phones, computers, and even military equipment like fighter jets. China has a lot of control over these materials in the world. Its new rules made it harder for other countries to get them. Because of China's new rules, President Trump decided to act. He said China was taking a very aggressive position on trade. He called China's actions hostile and a moral disgrace. He believes China is trying to control the world's supply of these important materials. Now, countries around the world are watching closely. They are worried about what will happen next. This big fight between the United States and China could cause problems for the global economy. It could make the world's economy less stable. Many people are concerned about the future of trade and money worldwide. The high tariffs could make things more expensive for people and may affect jobs everywhere. This is a very important moment for global business and peace. 2. The big problem. In the previous chapter, we learned about President Donald Trump's new tariffs on Chinese products. This big decision came after China made some new rules about special materials. These materials are called rare earth metals. Now, let's understand why these metals are so important and why China's rules cause such a big problem. First, what exactly are rare earth metals? They are a group of 17 natural elements found in the earth. Their names might sound strange, like neodymium, dysprosium, or terbium. But even if the names are hard to say, their role in our world is very easy to see. These metals are not rare because they are hard to find. They are rare because it is difficult to find them in large amounts, concentrated enough to mine easily. Also, they are difficult to separate from each other and process. These rare earth metals are essential for almost all modern technology we use every day. Your smartphone, for example, needs them to work. Without rare earth metals, Your phone would not have its vibrant screen or powerful small speakers. Laptop computers, tablets, and even modern televisions use these materials. They are also key ingredients in electric cars, helping their motors run efficiently. They help create the strong, lightweight magnets that are at the heart of many high-tech devices. The importance of rare earth metals goes beyond everyday electronics. They are also very critical for military equipment and national defense. Advanced fighter jets like the F-35 use a lot of these special metals. A single F-35 jet can contain over 900 pounds of rare earth elements. Precision-guided missiles, submarines, and satellites also need them to function. These metals make powerful engines, sensors, and communication systems possible for a country's defense. Here is the big problem. China has almost all the control over these materials. China mines about 60% of the world's rare earth metals. More importantly, China controls about 90% of the world's processing of these metals. This means that even other countries dig up rare earths, they often have to send them to China to be processed and made ready for use. The United States has some rare earth deposits, like the Mountain Pass mine in California. However, America does not have enough factories to process these metals itself. So, these American-mined rare earths often travel to China for refining. This makes the U.S. military heavily dependent on China for these key materials. Defense officials have been worried about this for a long time. If China decides to stop or greatly limit its rare earth exports, it could severely affect the production of critical U.S. military equipment. This situation is a major vulnerability, a sort of choke point in the United States' ability to build and maintain its defense technology. China's new export rules, which require approval for products containing even tiny amounts of Chinese rare earths, only make this problem worse and show China's strong control. 3. Money and people. The news about new tariffs quickly affected the money markets. People who invest their money watched as stock prices fell fast. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, a big measure of the market, went down almost 2%. The S&P 500 also dropped, which was its worst day in many months. Technology companies, especially those connected to China, lost a lot of value. NVIDIA, a company that makes computer chips, saw its shares go down by almost 5%. Tesla, a car company, dropped 5% too. Another important index that tracks chip companies fell by nearly 4%. Investors were worried about what would happen next. This worry was clear in something called the CBO Volatility Index. People often call this Wall Street's fear gauge. This index went up by 26%. This was its highest point in a month. This showed that many investors were feeling very nervous about the future of the economy. Some people started to buy gold and silver, which are often seen as safe investments when times are uncertain. For regular American families, these big changes in the stock market mean real costs. Economic studies show that when the government puts tariffs on goods, ordinary people pay more for products. This is because tariffs make imported goods more expensive. Businesses then pass these higher costs on to customers. This means that many everyday items, like new phones, computers, furniture, clothes, and toys, could become much more costly. A study from the Federal Reserve said that these new tariffs could make prices go up by nearly 1% across the country. This would be a big problem for families already dealing with high prices. Another serious concern is about jobs. When tariffs make things more expensive, some companies might make less money or even close down. This could lead to many people losing their jobs. Past studies on trade wars show that tariffs often cause more job losses than new jobs. One study by the Minneapolis Federal Reserve estimated that if tariffs stay at current levels, about 650,000 jobs in the U.S. could be lost. If President Donald Trump's new higher tariffs are put in place, this number could go up to 2.3 million jobs lost across the United States. States like California, Michigan, and Texas, which have many trade-related businesses, would likely be hurt the most. This shows that trade decisions can have a very big effect on the lives and money of many people. 4. A dangerous game. President Donald Trump's decision to impose new tariffs on Chinese goods sparked deep questions. Many wondered about his true intention. Was this a strategic move? A way to pressure China into new trade agreements? Or did it show a fundamental change in the relationship between the United States and China? Some experts believed it was a classic negotiating tactic. They pointed out that President Trump had often used strong threats to make other countries agree. He would push very hard, hoping to get big concessions from Beijing. Then he might pull back from the brink of conflict. This approach aimed to secure better deals, especially regarding important materials like rare earths. However, other experts had different worries. They thought President Trump might have decided that a friendly working relationship with China was no longer possible. China's new rules for rare earth exports seemed to anger him greatly. He described China's actions as extremely hostile. If President Trump now believed China was committed to economic conflict, he might be preparing for a long trade war, regardless of its economic cost. This strong stance quickly caused problems for diplomacy. President Trump suggested he might cancel a planned meeting with China's leader, Xi Jinping. This meeting was very important. It was scheduled for a big summit in South Korea. The two leaders had not met face-to-face since 2019. Many had hoped this meeting would help create a new trade framework. Canceling it showed how strained the relationship had become and how difficult future talks would be. From China's point of view, their new rare earth restrictions were a careful response. For years, the U.S. had limited China's access to advanced technology, such as computer chips. China has strong control over the global supply of rare earth metals. Chinese officials likely saw this control as a powerful tool. They thought it could give them significant influence over American defense and technology companies. The timing of China's move was also important. It happened just weeks before the expected meeting between President Trump and Xi Jinping. Beijing likely hoped this would strengthen their position. By showing they could disrupt critical American supply chains, China aimed to make President Trump less demanding in trade negotiations. Yet China's strategy appears to have backfired. Instead of making President Trump more willing to negotiate, it made him even tougher. This resulted in the biggest increase in trade tension during his presidency. China's attempt to gain leverage might have only made the situation worse. President Trump's own aggressive strategy also carried risks. If China does not agree to new terms, this dangerous game could lead to a long and costly economic war for both nations and the world. 5. What happens next? The world now watches closely as the date of November 1 nears. Many people are asking what will happen next. There are three main ways this situation could develop. Each path has different results for global money and politics, impacting businesses and families. The first possible future is a peaceful end through talks. This means both countries step back from conflict. President Trump has often used threats in past negotiations. China might realize a long trade fight will hurt its economy. So, China could agree to give the U.S. better rare earth access. In return, President Trump might remove some new tariffs. Both leaders need to find solutions that let them both look strong. Signs could include quiet diplomatic contacts, public statements for talks, or a delay in the November 1 tariff deadline. This is the most hopeful way forward. The second possible future is a limited trade war that does not get worse. Here, President Trump would still put the threatened tariffs on Chinese goods starting November 1. However, the fight would not spread to other areas, like military or diplomatic relations. Both countries would feel economic pain. American shoppers would pay more. Chinese businesses selling to the U.S. would lose sales. But the bigger relationship could stay manageable. Both sides might continue to work on global issues like climate change. This could happen if President Trump sees tariffs as needed to fix the rare earth issue, but still wants to talk with China. The third and most concerning future is a full economic war. This means a complete breakdown in trade relations, with both sides adding more limits on goods and services. President Trump might add tariffs to products from even more countries. China would surely fight back with its own strong trade actions. This could cause the global trading system to collapse and trigger a global recession, hurting economies everywhere. Supply chains would break and trade would fall quickly. The economic costs would be enormous. If this happens, expect more Chinese retaliation, more Trump tariffs, and a stop in talks. Each of these paths has huge effects for the world. The future of the global economy and well-being of many people depend on which path is chosen. 6. A problem for the world. The new tariffs from President Donald Trump would not only affect the United States and China, they would cause big problems for many industries around the world. American companies in important sectors like cars and technology would face big changes. These tariffs would disrupt how goods are made and moved across the globe. Companies would need to change their supply chains, which are the steps a product takes from raw material to the customer. This would cost a lot and cause many delays. The technology industry, especially those making computer chips, would find things very hard. Many parts of a chip come from different countries. Chinese rare earth materials are often used. With a 130% tariff, companies like Qualcomm would need to find new ways to make their products. They would have to change how they get their materials and make their goods. This would be very expensive and take a long time. The car industry also depends a lot on Chinese materials. Electric cars use special magnets made with rare earth elements from China. If these parts become much more expensive, car makers will have a problem. They will either pay more or look for new suppliers. But there are not many places outside China that can provide these materials. This means cars might become more expensive for everyone. Even companies making things for the military would be affected. The United States military uses Chinese rare earths for advanced weapons. Tariffs alone cannot fix this problem because other sources are hard to find. Building new rare earth processing factories in America would cost a lot of money and take many years. This shows a big weakness in the supply chain for defense. Many other countries would be caught in the middle of this fight. Countries like Japan, South Korea, and nations in Europe are friends with the U.S., but also do a lot of business with China. Their factories use technology from America and materials from China. It would be very hard for them to stop buying from either country. Leaders of these allied countries would feel strong pressure. They might have to choose a side, either the U.S. or China. This could change how global trade works for many years. European Union leaders have already said they are worried about being caught in this trade war. They are trying to find their own ways to get critical materials, but the tariffs would cause immediate problems for their businesses. The world watches as this economic problem grows bigger for everyone. 7. A deeper look. This trade war is more than just about money. Many people see it as a bigger fight, a technology Cold War. This is about who controls important materials for artificial intelligence and advanced defense systems. China's new rare earth rules show it wants to control global technology. This could lead to different countries using different technology systems, making new inventions slower and more expensive. Inside the United States, there are many different ideas about President Donald Trump's actions. Republican lawmakers generally support his tough stance against China. However, some also worry about how tariffs will affect businesses and people. Farmers, for example, fear losing sales if China retaliates. Democrats often agree that China's trade practices are problematic. However, they are also concerned that higher tariffs will make everyday products more expensive for American families. Some labor unions support protecting American jobs, but worry about rising consumer prices. Business groups, like the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, have been critical. They say tariffs hurt American companies and increase costs for consumers. They want leaders to talk more, not put up more trade barriers. Some people compare this current trade war to a historical event, the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930. Many economists believe that old law made the Great Depression worse. It started a global trade war that deeply hurt international business. But today's economy is much different from the 1930s. Global supply chains are very integrated, making it harder for countries to cut off trade. Experts also have different opinions on President Trump's plan. Some economists and national security experts say China's strong control of critical materials is a real danger for the United States. They argue some short-term economic pain is needed to build long-term independence from Chinese supply chains, important for national security. However, other experts disagree. They worry that tariffs are a harsh tool that often hurts American interests more than they help. They suggest building alternative supply chains needs cooperation with allies and investments, saying tariffs just raise costs. Defense analysts agree that relying on China for rare earths is risky, but they question if tariffs are the best way to solve it, believing new sources must be found. The different views show how complex this situation is, with no easy answers. 8. The final word. This is a truly important time for the United States, for China, and for all countries around the world. President Trump's decision to put a big 100% extra tax or tariff on all Chinese products has made the trade war very serious. This is not just a small disagreement. It is a moment that will change many things. The risks for everyone are huge. The cost of this economic struggle will be felt by ordinary people every day. Families will soon see that many common products cost a lot more. Items like mobile phones, toys for children, and even cars often have parts or are made in China. With these new tariffs, American companies will have to pay more to bring these goods into the country. This higher cost will then be passed to the customers. So people will pay more money for things they need and use every day. This will make life harder for many families trying to manage their money. Businesses globally are also in a difficult position. Companies in America and other countries rely on products and materials from China. For example, many technology companies need rare earth metals, which mostly come from China. If these materials become too expensive or hard to get, factories might slow down or even stop. This could mean that millions of people around the world could lose their jobs. This instability makes it very hard for businesses to plan for the future or grow. The world now stands at a crucial point. Leaders must choose between two main paths: working together or continuing to fight economically. Cooperation means that countries try to solve their problems through talks, finding ways to compromise and build trust. This path could lead to a more stable and growing global economy, where everyone benefits from trade. But if countries choose conflict with more tariffs and restrictions, it could lead to a long and damaging economic war. Such a war would harm trade, slow down progress, and make everyone poorer. The future of the entire global economy is unsure. It depends on the choices made by the U.S. and China in the coming days. Will they find a way to work together, or will they push each other away? The way these two powerful nations interact will shape how all other countries trade and grow. It's a defining moment for global stability and prosperity. What path do you believe the world's leaders should choose for the global economy?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.